Hey guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with my first wrap up for 2021. I'm still adjusting to saying the one at the end of that, so yeah. Uh, this is my mid-January reading wrap up, where I talk about the first books I read in the first half of January and the first books I've read in the year of 2021. Alright, so I haven't read tons, but I've read enough. Uh, as usual, I probably didn't read in the first week, like 7 to 10 days, because I was too busy filming and editing all those videos that you've now seen. And literally, that's all I was doing, so it takes up so much time. But yeah, last year in the full month of January, I read a total of 4 books. Now, I have 3 books to talk about here right now, so all I need to do is read 2 more this month to beat last January's total. So let's get into the books I read. Alright, so my shirt looks much whiter on screen. Yeah. The first book I completed was an ebook, and that was Ice by Karen Marie Moning. This is book 6 in the Fever series. I started this book a while ago, in 2019, I think. And then I stopped reading it, and I decided that I did want to continue. I wanted to finish it out. It's been sitting on my Goodreads currently reading shelf forever. And so yeah, this book was where the series took a left turn. I read these as they came out, the first 5 books, and it starts off really low key. You don't think it's going to be too serious because Mac is ridiculous. And then over the course of 5 books, things get more and more intense. So this is a urban fantasy series where, for the most part, we follow our main character, Mac, who is from, I think, Florida, if I'm remembering correctly, in the US. And she's got a sister. Anyway, one day she gets a notification that her sister has died. And she's basically been murdered in Ireland. And she grieves with her parents, and then they find out that the Irish police are giving up the case because they can find no reason or culprit or whatever. Mac's like, I don't think so. So she heads over to Ireland to find out what happened to her sister. And then things go from there. This is where the fantasy part jumps into things, because Mac finds out there's a whole other world within this world. Now, this is not like a portal fantasy. It's just kind of underground. Regular humans are not aware of the magical beings around them, like the Fae, for example, or other beings, long-lived races, and monstrous things. So Mac starts getting into this world. There is a very, very, very slow burn romance. And yeah, we got to book 5, Shadow Fever, which has a gorgeous cover, and I read that and I loved it. I thought the series was done, so I didn't look for more. And then my life changed and I wasn't focused on that, blah, blah. Fast forward years later, and I find out there's still books coming out from this. So I was like, I'll pick up the next one, which is Ice. Come to find out, Ice doesn't follow Mac anymore. We follow Danny, a character that comes in book 3 or 4 of the series. So 2 books before this, Danny makes her appearance. And Danny is 13, 14-year-old girl who has a very traumatic past that we don't know about until Iced. All we know is Danny is a young girl. She was taken in as an orphan by this sisterhood. I don't want to give anything away, but they're kind of like nuns, but not quite. So, but Danny has her own abilities that nobody knows about, and she becomes an important-ish character in Mac's world. They kind of dote on one another and see each other as sisters. Danny being much younger than Mac's original sister. But anyway, so this book is where things change because obviously we're following a new character, but this is a 14-year-old. And the thought was that maybe the publishers kind of pushed, because young adult stuff was becoming popular, that she should focus on Danny. The issue for many people is the fact that there are several adult males, most of whom are a couple hundred years old, if not more. We don't know. They're very long lived, and at least one guy who's 30 plus, who are all interested in Danny, making it obvious to those of us who have lived in this world, who have experienced this life, that they would like either romantic and or sexual relationships with her. But Danny is 14. Danny is sometimes oblivious and other times ignoring what's in her face because she doesn't want to deal with it. She's very obnoxious. She's very in your face. She's very much a street kid, and I don't dislike the character. I'm not a huge fan of the dialogue that she has a lot of the times. She's very irreverent, and it shows. There's a lot of street slang or whatever, but it's clear that Karen Marie Mooney is not Irish. So there's this weird American slang mixed in with random Irish things, and it jarring. Danny can rub you the wrong way as a character, but overall, I will say this: nothing sexual happens in this book with Danny or any of those guys. What I have heard though since is that because there was such an uproar from fans, like, no, this is inappropriate, she's underage, and so forth. Karen Marie Moning scrapped the original plan she had for the next book, Burned, which was, again, mainly focused on Danny, to having her be only one of several points of view. So I don't know what else changed. I mean, no one knows really the details. But I'm going on and on too much. I just wanted to give some context. But yeah, so honestly, I didn't hate this, and I will be continuing. I think the biggest problem for me personally was that not a lot happened in this. There's a lot of sitting around, well, not Danny, because Danny can never just sit still, but it felt like we were going in circles plot-wise. It was like something's wrong, and someone gets hurt, and someone gets out of it, and something's wrong, but it wasn't like we didn't get anywhere with what the bad guy was, what that thing was. There's a being that came into the world now, this kind of post-apocalyptic Ireland, and they're trying to figure out what it is and how to stop it. And I felt like the plot didn't really go anywhere for a while, which was annoying. When it finally did, it was like, okay, good. But, and I like seeing the other points of views, from Kat, mostly. And the ending was definitely a cliffhanger, so I do want to see Burned, because now Mac and Danny. So yeah, I gave this a 3 stars. Like I said, this is the urban fantasy I read because I felt like it and finally finished it. So, next book that I read was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is a young adult fantasy series. This is the third book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. This I'm reading for the first time. I reread A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Wings and Ruin late last year. All three read for two reasons. As part of Acotaralong, I'll put a link in the description down below where I'm rereading the series with other people, reading the series with other people, because of the second reason, which is the next book in this series, book 4, will be coming out in early February. A Court of Silver Flames, I think it is, or Silver Wings, Silver Flames, yes. So, I had not read this before. Like I said, I read the previous two before this, and I just never got around to this book. This sort of wraps up the trilogy, it seems, of Feyre and Rhys and Tamlin, too. So, this is a YouTube darling, this series, so you probably know what it's about, but really quick, this is kind of a fairy retelling romance fantasy thing. We follow Feyre, who was a human, poor human from a very poor family. Her father used to be a rich trader type person. He lost all his money, got down on his luck, got injured, and they lost their mother. And he just became depressed and didn't do anything. Her sisters didn't know how to do anything. So Feyre, the youngest, taught herself how to hunt. While she's hunting, one day she sees and kills a fairy, beast. She knows it's a fairy. She kills him with an ash arrow, which is known to kill fairies. And this, breaks the pact between humans and fairies, where they stay on their own sides of each wall, and they can't kill each other. So when that fairy's prince finds out, or king, whatever, prince finds out that he was killed, he comes and he takes Feyre away from her family and basically kind of sort of makes her a slave, but not really, because he doesn't want her to do anything. So that is where Feyre is introduced to the other side of the wall, to the Fae in the Spring Court and their High Lord Tamlin. Things change so many times over the course of this series. It doesn't go where you think it is when you get through the first 50% of the first book. In this one, we have a lot more action, a lot more battle. The relationship is settled, basically. There's a lot of PTSD. I like the discussions on that. They're not super obvious, like, I have PTSD, because this is a fantasy world, but it's just, they discuss the things are still affecting them. Things that happened even 50 years ago are still affecting some of the Fae, and some of them are very outspoken about that with in their inner circles, and others are not, even though you can see it. Also, obviously the found family in this, in the Dark Court. I love those guys. My biggest problem with this is I realized the same issue I had with the last book of the Throne of Glass series. There are so many plot conveniences, so many. I accidentally said plot holes, I think, in the live show, but I mean plot conveniences, and she needs to let people die. Some people need to die. Not that random dude over there who we barely see, but people, they need to die. If we're in war and everybody is putting their lives on the line, and one of the big themes in this is martyring. I don't know if that's the right term, but people wanting to be a martyr, to give all of themselves up to protect the ones they love, and you know, it's catching. Everyone in that group, that family, wants to do it. They want to give their all for the others, and if they're giving their all for the others and not letting the others stop them from doing it, somebody should be dead. So yeah, I gave this 4 stars because I like the relationships, I like the characters. The plot was just like, it was good until the very end when it was just like, yeah, okay. It kind of took some of the tension away. Like, we built all this up. Well, if they're gonna be okay, then what was the point? Like, I don't know. So, the next book is book 3.5. If that was confusing earlier when I said the new book coming out is book 4. So, after this, I'm going to read 3.5, which is a novella, Court of Frost and Starlight. The last book I want to talk about that I've read so far this month is a surprise. Royally Screwed by Emma Chase. So this is a contemporary romance, and I picked this up because of the Swoonsisters reading book club thing. So this is run by Deja's Book World, and I forget, it's Nicole, I think, but I forget her channel name. Links in the description down below. And yeah, I want to read more romance. I like romance. I have not read anything much recently, so I think I talked about this in my favorite romance video, a favorite romance series video. But anyway, so I thought joining in on this kind of read-along book club thing would be fun. Every month they pick a different a different theme or trope. And this month for January was royalty. So here in Royally Screwed, we're following Nicholas, Crown Prince of Wesco, which is like some country separate from Scotland, but very similar. And yeah, so he's the crown prince, and he's the oldest. Their parents are dead. This is, honestly, the backstory is kind of similar to the current English princes, except not just the mother has passed away, but both parents in, I believe it was a car crash. So their parents have passed away, Nicholas and his younger brother Henry. Grandmother is single and old and the queen of Wesco, and she decides one day that it's time for Nicholas to get married. She gives him a list of names that he needs to pick from to be his bride. And yeah, they're all virgins because, you know, we can't have the succession in doubt, and they're all nobility. Nicholas decides, well, if I'm going out with a bang. And while he goes to New York City to pick up his younger brother, he is basically fucking his way through everything. He goes out with his friend while pissed drunk, and they stop into a coffee shop that sells pies. And that coffee shop is run by Olivia, our heroine. So yeah, she's just a regular working girl, and they don't hit it off right away. Nicholas is an ass because he's drunk, but he keeps trying because he knows he's good looking and sexy, and eventually they hook up and whatnot. I like this. I was into it. I read like 100 pages the first night, and it was good. It's good enough that I've done something I haven't done in a while, and I was skipping ahead, and that's why it took me so long to finish it, because I kind of knew what happened, because I was skipping ahead, and I'm like, no, you need to read it properly. So yeah, I'm really glad I read this. It's a contemporary modern royalty romance. Nicholas is sexy, um, and kind of pushy about it. Olivia is here for it. I think things slow down a little bit and get a kind of awkward with the sex scenes once they go to Wesco, back to his country. Uh, because now more drama is involved. Now we have all the royalty and nobility around, and the press and other things. And then we're getting to the bottom of what's going on with Henry. So yeah, there's a lot of like more serious and dramatic moments rather than romantic ones. And then all of a sudden we cut to a scene of them having sex, which is good, but it's just like whiplash. So when we cut to sex scenes before that, when they were in New York City, even when they went to like fancy events or whatever that he couldn't get out of, it wasn't as dramatic a change in scene. So like they would be doing something coupley, I guess you could say, even in the serious moments. So I don't know, but here it's like, oh, they had an argument. No, not oh, they had an argument. It's, oh, we're having a serious discussion about your ex-girlfriend, who's still around and being a bitch, and you're explaining to me, and it's like, okay, I understand, let's go home, walking off together. We cut to the next scene, which is, oh, we're going to a polo game, and he looks hot in his polo outfit, let me give him a blowjob. And I was just like, okay. Or a scene, I don't remember what it was. Oh, a scene, I think, where she was having a conversation with the younger brother Henry, and he was warning her about Nicholas, and she was a little apprehensive about that warning. And then the next thing is, it's the next morning, I think, and her razor is broken, so Nicholas decides to shave her with his razor, and he shaves her legs and her vulva or whatever, and then eats her out. And it's just like, this like, I'm not done processing the emotions of the other scene and can't really get into the sex scenes. So maybe it's me, I don't know, but I gave this a 4-star as well. It was kind of predictable with these royalty things. Like, you have one of two options. Either they allow the person who is not nobility to become, somehow they find something in their background and then they allow them to get married, or the royal person has to abdicate from their position to become a regular citizen, and then they can be together happily ever after. Guess which one? Seriously, let me know down in the comments which one you think this turned out to be. But this was fun. I liked it. I needed it. It had me grinning from the beginning. Nicholas is kind of ridiculous in that way that guys who are good looking and know they're good looking and like sex and really want and are naturally flirty. That's how they are. You can't help but smile at all of the ridiculousness. So yeah, those are the first 3 books I read in the month of January. Wish me luck for the rest of the month because I need it. But I've already started an audiobook, and I have Oathbringer to finish, and at least one other audiobook. Maybe 2 if I can fit them in. So I'm hoping to have read 7 books this month. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a little crown in the description if you've made it this far, a little crown emoji. And like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new to my channel. I post bi-monthly reading wrap-ups, occasionally tagged, and some favorite list videos, which will be coming in addition to other video types. But you can always find all of my reading content, bookish content under the Magical Librarian playlist. So, hit that notification bell so you know when the next video goes up. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.